Part 1. They summoned for help. The council chamber fell silent as the holographic display showed another world dying. Torvash, a planet of 4 billion souls, had gone dark in less than 6 hours. The Vacrine swarm had arrived at dawn, and by sunset, nothing remained but emptiness. Counselor Thelvar's feathers drooped as he watched the final transmission. A mother holding her child, both screaming as the swarm consumed them. Then static. Then nothing. "That makes 17 worlds in 3 months," said Ambassador Hana quietly. She stood alone at the back of the chamber, the only human allowed in conquered space. The other counselors avoided looking at her. "Our fleets cannot stop them," Thelvar admitted. His voice cracked with despair. "Every ship we send is destroyed. Every weapon we use fails. They adapt too quickly. They consume too fast." The Galactic Concord had ruled this sector of space for 10,000 years. 12 species living in harmony, sharing knowledge and resources. They had no armies, only defense forces. No weapons of war, only tools of protection. They had never needed anything more. Until the Vacrine came. Counselor Vesh, whose crystalline body shimmered with anxiety, spoke next. "We must evacuate the outer colonies. Pull everyone back to the core worlds and fortify." "That means abandoning 60 billion people," another counselor said. "Better than watching them die," Vesh replied. Hana stepped forward. "There is another option." The chamber went quiet. All eyes turned to her. The human. The representative from the forbidden world. Thelvar's feathers ruffled with discomfort. "Ambassador Hana, please. We have discussed this before." "You discussed it and rejected it," Hana said. "That was 3 months and 17 worlds ago. How many more will die before you reconsider?" Earth had been discovered 50 years ago by a Concord exploration vessel. The first contact had been peaceful enough, but the examination that followed had terrified the Concord leadership. Earth was classified as a Class 3 death world, one of the most hostile planets ever documented. High gravity, violent weather, aggressive predators, deadly diseases, and toxic plants covered every continent. And somehow, humans thrived there. The Concord studied humanity from a distance. They watched with horror as humans waged wars over resources, beliefs, and territory. They saw weapons capable of destroying entire continents. They observed a species that had clawed its way to the top of their world's food chain through violence, adaptation, and relentless determination. The Concord Council voted unanimously to quarantine Earth. Humanity was too dangerous, too aggressive, too warlike to join the peaceful galactic community. Contact was limited to a single ambassador, Hana, who had spent the last 20 years trying to change their minds. "Your people are violent," Counselor Vesh said. "We have seen your history, the wars, the weapons, the destruction. We cannot unleash that upon the galaxy." "The Vacrine are already unleashed upon the galaxy," Hana replied. "They've killed more people in 3 months than humanity has killed in its entire history. What exactly are you protecting by keeping us out?" Thelvar closed his eyes. He was old, even for his long-lived species. He had voted to quarantine Earth decades ago. He had believed it was the right choice. He had thought the Concord's principles mattered more than military might. Now he was not so sure. "If we contact Earth," he said slowly, "what would they send?" Hana pulled up her personal datapad. She had prepared this presentation countless times, always hoping someone would finally listen. Earth maintains a combined defense force of 300 warships, 50,000 ground troops, and extensive support systems. We have been monitoring your situation since the Vacrine first appeared. Our military command has already prepared response protocols. 300 ships? Counselor Vesh sounded skeptical. "We have lost 3,000 ships to the Vacrine. What difference would 300 make?" "Human ships are different," Hana said. She displayed technical specifications that made several counselors recoil. "Our weapons are designed to fight other humans. We build them to counter opponents as clever and adaptable as we are. The Vacrine may be numerous, but they are not strategic. They overwhelm through numbers, not tactics." "And human tactics?" Thelvar asked. Hana hesitated. This was the part that always made them refuse. Humans fight to win. We use every advantage. We study our enemies and exploit their weaknesses. We do not fight fair. We fight to survive. The chamber erupted in argument. Half the counselors demanded she leave. The other half desperately wanted to hear more. Thelvar raised his wing for silence. Ambassador Hana, would your people even help us? We quarantined your world. We called you dangerous. We refused you membership in the Concord. Why would Earth risk its soldiers for us? Hana smiled sadly. Because despite everything, we know what it's like to watch our people die while others do nothing. Because we believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Because that's what humans do. We fight monsters, even if everyone thinks we're monsters too. Another holographic display flickered to life. This time it showed the Vacrine swarm approaching the colony world of Planara. 2 billion people lived there. They had maybe 2 days before the swarm arrived. Counselor Thelvar looked at the display, then at Hana, then at his fellow counselors. He saw fear in their eyes. Not just fear of the Vacrine, but fear of the choice before them. If we do this, he said quietly, everything changes. The Concord will never be the same. The Concord is already gone, Hana said. The question is whether anyone survives to rebuild it. Thelvar stood from his council seat. His wings spread wide, a gesture of formal declaration. I propose we request military assistance from Earth. All those in favor? The vote was not unanimous. 5 counselors refused, but 7 voted yes, including Thelvar. He turned to Hana. Send your message, Ambassador. Tell your people we need help. Tell them we are sorry for how we treated them. Tell them we are dying, and we have nowhere else to turn. Hana nodded and activated her encrypted comm link to Earth. The message was brief, just as she had planned it months ago. This is Ambassador Hana. Galactic Concord requests immediate military assistance against hostile force. Extinction-level threat. Sending coordinates and tactical data. They're dying. Send the fleet. She closed the connection and looked at Thelvar. They'll come. Humanity always answers the call. I pray you are right, Thelvar said. And I pray we do not regret this more than we already regret doing nothing. In the background, the display showed Planera. 2 billion people going about their lives, unaware that a swarm of death approached. Unaware that their salvation would come from the species the galaxy feared most. The message traveled through quantum relays at faster-than-light speed. It crossed the void between stars in seconds. It reached Earth's military command within 5 minutes, and the Deathworlders began to move. Force Part 2. The Deathworlders' Answer. Admiral Yuna stood on the bridge of the EDF Indomitable, watching the stars shift as the fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Around her flagship, 299 other warships materialized in perfect formation. The journey from Earth to Velisra had taken 48 hours. The mobilization had taken less than that. All ships report ready status, her communications officer announced. Good, Yuna said. She was a tall woman with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Open a channel to the Concord Council. Tell them the Terran Defense Force has arrived. On Velisra's surface, alarms blared across the capital city. The sudden appearance of 300 warships had triggered every defense system they had. Counselor Thelvar rushed to the orbital monitoring station, his heart racing. Unknown vessels, the station commander was shouting. Weapons locked on our position. Energy signatures are... He paused, checking his readings again. Are impossible. No ship should generate that much power. Stand down, Thelvar ordered. Those are the humans. The commander stared at him. All 300 of them? Yes. They said they would send help. I thought maybe 20 ships, perhaps 50 at most, but all of them. Thelvar felt the same shock. Apparently, when humans commit to something, they commit completely. Ambassador Hana's voice came through on the priority channel. Counselor, Admiral Yuna requests permission to land a shuttle. She wants to discuss strategy in person. Granted, Thelvar said. An ambassador? Thank you. 2 hours later, Thelvar met Admiral Yuna in the council chamber. He expected someone aggressive, perhaps arrogant. Instead, Yuna moved with quiet efficiency. She carried herself like someone who had nothing to prove because she had already proven everything. "Thank you for coming," Thelvar began. "Save the gratitude," Yuna said, not unkindly. "We are not here for thanks. We are here to end a threat. Show me what we are dealing with." Dr. Inho, Earth's chief xenobiologist, stepped forward. He had been analyzing Vacrine samples for weeks using data the Concord had provided. The Vacrine are a hive species with distributed intelligence. Each individual is relatively simple, but together they form a collective consciousness. They evolved on a Class 3 world. Low gravity, abundant resources, stable climate. "A paradise world," Captain Day commented. He commanded the Indomitable under Admiral Yuna. "They never learned to struggle." "Exactly, Dr. Psice," Inho continued. "They expanded because they could, not because they had to. They consume everything because nothing ever taught them restraint. They have no natural predators, no resource scarcity, no environmental pressures. They are evolution's mistake, a species that succeeded too easily." Counselor Vesh spoke up. "We tried everything, plasma weapons, kinetic bombardment, biological agents. Nothing worked. They adapt within hours." Yuna smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "You tried to stop them. That was your mistake. You cannot negotiate with a swarm. You cannot contain it. You can only destroy it completely." She activated a tactical display. "We have analyzed all your failed engagements. Your fleet spread out to minimize losses. That allows the Vacrine to isolate and destroy you piece by piece. Your weapons are designed to disable, not kill. That gives them time to adapt. Your strategy is defensive, which means they choose when and where to fight." "What would you do differently?" Thelvar asked. "Everything," Yuna said bluntly. She pulled up the Planara system. "The Vacrine will reach this colony in 36 hours. Instead of evacuating, we will make our stand there. We will concentrate our entire fleet in one location. We will use overwhelming force. And we will introduce them to weapons they have never encountered." Captain Day brought up specifications for human weapon systems. Thelvar felt sick as he read them. Railguns that fired projectiles at a fraction of light speed. Plasma warheads that burned at temperatures exceeding stellar cores. Nuclear weapons, chemical agents, biological weapons, kinetic kill vehicles. "These weapons are horrific," Counselor Vesh whispered. "These weapons work," Yuna corrected. "We designed them to fight other humans, the smartest, most adaptable, most dangerous species we knew. The Vacrine are strong, but they are not us." Lieutenant Sora entered the chamber. At 23, she was the youngest person in the room and the most decorated fighter pilot in human history. "Admiral, the fighter wings are ready. We have been running simulations using Concord tactical data." "And?" Yuna asked. "The Vacrine fly in swarm formations. Dense, predictable, aggressive. They have never faced coordinated fighter tactics. With your permission, I would like to demonstrate." Yuna nodded. Sora activated a holographic battle simulation. The display showed a Vacrine swarm encountering a human fighter wing. What followed made the Concord counselors gasp. The human fighters did not engage directly. Instead, they used the environment. They lured Vacrine ships into asteroid fields and detonated the asteroids. They exploited gravity wells to slingshot missiles at impossible angles. They used their own damaged fighters as decoys and bombs. Every tactic was ruthless. Every move calculated, every action designed to maximize enemy casualties while minimizing their own. "You fight without honor," one counselor said. "We fight to win," Sora replied simply. "Honor does not feed families, victory does." Thelvar watched the simulation again. The Vacrine, for all their numbers, were being systematically destroyed. But the cost troubled him. "How many pilots do you lose in these tactics?" "In simulation, about 30% casualty rate," Sora admitted. "In reality, we expect higher." "That is acceptable to you?" Thelvar could not hide his horror. "That is war," Yuna said. "The Vacrine have killed billions. If 30% of my pilots die to stop that, then 30% of my pilots die. They know this. They volunteered anyway. That is what it means to be human." The chamber fell silent. The conquered species had lived in peace for so long they had forgotten what real war looked like. Now they were being shown, and it terrified them. Colonel Tay, commander of the ground forces, spoke next. Admiral, what if the Vacrine land troops on Planara? Then you will deploy and eliminate them, Una said. Rules of engagement? Total extermination. No prisoners, no mercy. The Vacrine gave none to Torvash. We will give none to them. Thelvar felt something break inside him. This was what they had summoned. Not saviors, but killers. Efficient, remorseless, professional killers. I know what you are thinking, Una said, looking directly at him. You are wondering if you made a mistake calling us. You are questioning whether we are any better than the Vacrine. Thelvar said nothing, but his silence was answer enough. The difference, Una continued, is that we fight to protect. The Vacrine consume because it is their nature. We kill because we must. When this war ends, we will put down our weapons. The Vacrine would never stop, not until everything was gone. That is the difference between a soldier and a monster. She stood and gestured to her officers. We deploy for Planera in 12 hours. I suggest you evacuate non-essential personnel and prepare for civilian casualties. This will be bloody, but it will be effective. As the humans left the chamber, Captain Day paused at the door. He looked back at the counselors. You should have called us when the Vacrine first appeared. We would have ended this in a week. Every death since then, every world lost, every billion killed. That blood is on your hands for waiting. After they were gone, Thelvar slumped in his seat. Counselor Vesh approached him. Did we do the right thing? Vesh asked. Thelvar watched through the window as human warships maneuvered into formation. Each one bristled with weapons. Each one carried soldiers trained for violence. Each one represented humanity's answer to the universe's cruelty. I do not know, Thelvar said honestly. But I know that we are alive to question it. For now, that will have to be enough. Part 3. The Price of Sanctuary. The Vacrine arrived at Planara exactly when Dr. Inho predicted. Millions of bioships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a swarm so dense it blocked out the stars. They had consumed 17 worlds. This would be their 18th. Except this time, someone was waiting. All ships, battle stations, Admiral Una ordered calmly. Fighters launch, Marines to drop pods. Let us show them what a death world breeds. Lieutenant Sora led the first fighter wing into the swarm. Her voice came through the fleet-wide channel, steady despite the chaos around her. Remember your training. They expect us to break. Show them humans do not break. The Vacrine bioships moved to intercept. Millions of organic weapons firing acidic projectiles and bioplasma. The human fighters scattered into pre-planned patterns. What looked like retreat was actually strategy. Sora led her wing toward Planara's moon. The Vacrine followed, swarming after easy prey. At the last second, Sora's fighters dove below the moon's surface while her wingman detonated a payload of kinetic charges. The moon's regolith exploded outward like shrapnel, shredding thousands of Vacrine ships. Target-rich environment, Sora reported. Engaging. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Day watched the battle unfold. Railguns charged. Target the center mass of their formation. Sir, our ships will be in the blast radius, the weapons officer warned. They know, Day said. Fire. The railgun rounds punched through space at relativistic speeds. They hit the Vacrine formation like the fist of an angry god. Bioships exploded. Organic matter vaporized. The entire center of the swarm simply ceased to exist, and the human ships in the blast radius had already moved. They knew the firing pattern. They planned for it. The Vacrine did not. Colonel Tay watched from his drop pod as it fell toward Planara's surface. The Vacrine had landed ground forces in 3 major cities. 2 billion civilians were trapped. All units, listen up, Tay said to his Marines. Rules of engagement are simple. Anything that is not human or conquered species gets eliminated. No hesitation, no mercy. These things ate 17 worlds. Today, they choke on the 18th. The drop pods hit like meteors. Marines poured out in full combat armor, weapons ready. The Valkyrian ground forces were massive insectoid creatures, each the size of a transport vehicle, with mandibles that could bite through steel. Private Ye-jun saw one charge toward a group of Concord civilians. He fired his plasma rifle without thinking. The creature exploded in a spray of boiling ichor. More Valkyrian rushed forward. More died. "Keep moving," Colonel Tay shouted. "We hold the line here." The battle in the streets was vicious. The Valkyrian had numbers. The humans had training, tactics, and weapons designed by a species that had perfected warfare. Plasma grenades turned narrow alleys into kill zones. Chemical weapons melted Valkyrian bioarmor. Flame units burned them alive. Ambassador Jiwon, Hana's deputy, coordinated the civilian evacuation from orbit. She watched the Marines fight and felt sick. "This is slaughter," she whispered. "This is war," Hana replied beside her. "The Valkyrian chose to come here. Colonel Tay is making sure they regret it." On the Indomitable, Dr. Inho studied the Valkyrian bioships they had destroyed. Interesting. Their organic structure breaks down rapidly when separated from the hive mind. And look at this. Their biology is incredibly vulnerable to Earth-origin microbes. "Explain," Admiral Yuna said. "They evolved in a paradise. No disease, no parasites, no biological competition. Their immune system is almost non-existent." Dr. Inho smiled. It was not a kind smile. "I can weaponize this." "Do it," Yuna ordered. "Prepare biological agents for deployment." Counselor Thelvar, observing from a Concord ship at a safe distance, heard this exchange. "You cannot be serious. Biological weapons are banned under Concord law." "Concord law did not save Torvash," General Hyun replied coldly. He was Admiral Yuna's strategic commander. "Your laws are written for peace. We are at war. Different rules apply." "This is genocide," Thelvar protested. "Yes," Hyun agreed. "It is. The Valkyrian committed genocide 17 times. Now we commit it once. That is the price you pay for calling Deathworlders. We do not do things halfway." On Planera's surface, the battle turned. The Valkyrian, for the first time in their expansion, began to retreat. They had never encountered resistance like this. They had never felt pain, never known fear, never faced an enemy that fought with such coordinated brutality. Colonel Tay pursued them. "No escape. Hunt them down." Private Ye-jun found himself in a Valkyrian nest in the ruins of a city building. Hundreds of eggs lined the walls. He raised his weapon, then hesitated. These were not soldiers. These were unborn. Colonel Tay appeared beside him. "Problem, Private." "Sir, these are eggs, non-combatants." Tay looked at the eggs, then at Ye-jun. "Those eggs will hatch in days. Each one will become a creature that eats sentient beings alive. Each one will go on to breed more. Math is simple, Private. Kill them now, or kill millions later." "Sir, That is an order." Ye-jun closed his eyes and fired. The eggs burst. He tried not to think about what he was doing. He tried not to feel like a monster. In orbit, Lieutenant Sora's fighter wing had lost 30% of its pilots, but the Valkyrian had lost 90% of their bioships. The remaining swarm ships attempted to flee. "All wings, pursue," Sora ordered. "None escape." Her fighters chased the Valkyrian across the system. One by one, they eliminated the fleeing ships. It took 6 hours. When it was done, Sora returned to the Indomitable with half her original wing. Admiral Yuna met her in the hangar. "Report. Mission accomplished, Admiral. Enemy swarm destroyed. Casualties acceptable." Yuna saw the exhaustion in Sora's eyes. "Acceptable to command, Lieutenant. But to you?" Sora's mask slipped for just a moment. "I watched good people die today, ma'am. People I trained with. People I cared about. But they died so 2 billion civilians could live." "Yes, ma'am. It is acceptable." Yuna nodded. "Good answer. Get some rest. This is only the beginning." Ambassador Jiwon opened communications with the Concord Council. "We saved Planera. 2 billion lives preserved. Valkyrian ground forces eliminated. Orbital swarm destroyed." "At what cost?" Counselor Vesh asked. 4,000 human casualties, 800 fighters lost, 3 ships damaged. I meant the moral cost. Jiwan was quiet for a moment. We used tactics you find disturbing. We deployed weapons you consider criminal. We killed without hesitation and pursued without mercy. If you want us to apologize for saving lives, you will be disappointed. General Hune joined the transmission. Let us discuss terms. Earth saved your colony. Now we want our place at the table. Full Concord membership, open borders, a seat on your council, and most importantly, integration of human military doctrine into Concord Defense Forces. You want to change who we are, Thelvar said. We want you to survive, Hyun corrected. You can keep your principles if you want, but understand that your principles will not stop the next threat. Your principles did not stop the Vakreen. We did. You are asking us to become like you, Counselor Vesh said. We are asking you to learn from us, Jiwan said. You do not have to become warriors, but you need to understand them, because the universe has warriors, and if you cannot defend yourselves, you will always be victims. The Concord Council argued for hours. Some wanted to refuse, some wanted to accept, others wanted to discuss alternatives. While they debated, engineer Minji and her construction teams landed on Planera. Within 24 hours, they built weapons platforms around the planet. Within 48 hours, minefields surrounded the system. Within 72 hours, Planera had defenses that would make it nearly impossible to attack. How did you do this so fast? A Concord engineer asked Minji. Practice, Minji said simply. Humans have been fortifying worlds for 200 years. We are very good at it. On the surface, Private Yejun helped evacuate civilians from the destroyed cities. A young Concord child approached him. The child was shaking, traumatized by what they had witnessed. Are you a hero? The child asked. Yejun thought about the eggs he had destroyed, the Vakreen he had killed, the violence he had committed. No, he said honestly. I am just a soldier. But you saved us. Yes. Then what is the difference? Yejun had no answer for that. Part 4. The hunt begins. 3 weeks after the Battle of Planara, Admiral Yuna stood before the Concord Council with a new proposal. We have defended your worlds. Now we go on the offensive. Counselor Thelvar studied the star charts she presented. Red dots marked Vakreen-occupied systems. There were hundreds of them. You want to attack them directly? I want to hunt them, Yuna corrected. Defense is not enough. Every moment we wait, they grow stronger. They consume more worlds. They breed more warriors. The only way to win this war is to take it to them. Our fleets tried that, Counselor Vesh said. They were destroyed. Your fleets fought fair, Captain Day said. We will not. Admiral Yuna pulled up tactical plans. We have identified 3 major Vakreen hive clusters. Each one contains billions of their bioships and serves as a breeding center. We destroy these. We cripple their ability to expand. How? Thelvar asked. Commander Nari will explain. A woman stepped forward from the shadows. Commander Nari was small, quiet, and utterly terrifying. She ran Earth's Black Operations Division. We infiltrate their territory using stealth ships. We plant weapons inside their hive structures. We eliminate their queen variants. Then we leave and watch them collapse from the inside. That is assassination, a counselor protested. That is war, Nari said simply. The Vakreen have queens that direct swarm behavior. Kill the queens, the swarms become disorganized. Disorganized swarms are easy to destroy. You are talking about going deep into enemy territory, Thelvar said. If you fail, if you are captured, we will not be captured, Nari said. Her voice was ice. And if we fail, we die. That is acceptable. Dr. Inho presented his research next. I have developed a pathogen specific to Vakreen biology. It attacks their neural structures and spreads through their hive-mind connection. One infected Vakreen can kill thousands. Scientist Suho, who had been working with Dr. Inho, added more data. The pathogen is tailored to their specific biology. It will not affect any known Concord species. It is completely safe for everyone except the Vakreen. Safe? Counselor Vesh sounded skeptical. You created a plague. We created a solution, Dr. Inho corrected. Would you prefer we continue fighting them ship by ship, world by world, while billions more die? The council had no answer. Admiral Yuna did not wait for their approval. We launch in 48 hours. You can join us or stay behind. Either way, we are ending this. Commander Nari led the first strike team into Vacrine space. Her stealth ship, the Shadow, slipped past their biosensors using technology the Concorde had never seen. Human ships were designed to hide, to deceive, to strike from unexpected angles. Target acquired, Nari reported. Hive Cluster Gamma 7. Estimate 4 million bioships in orbit. Proceed, Admiral Yuna ordered from the Indomitable, which waited at the edge of the system. Nari's team infiltrated the Hive Cluster using powered armor and personal stealth fields. They moved through Vacrine biostructures like ghosts. Every movement was calculated, every step planned. They had trained for this kind of operation for years. Inside the hive, they found the Queen variant. It was massive, the size of a small building, pulsing with bioluminescence as it directed the swarm. Plant the charges, Nari ordered. Her team placed plasma bombs around the Queen chamber. They also released Dr. Inho's pathogen into the ventilation system. The Vacrine did not even notice. They had never encountered stealth tactics. They did not understand the concept of hidden enemies. Nari and her team escaped minutes before the bombs detonated. The Queen variant died instantly. The pathogen began spreading through the hive mind. Within hours, the entire cluster was dying. Mission successful, Nari reported, returning to fleet. Admiral Yuna smiled. Good, 2 more to go. But the second operation went wrong. Commander Nari approached Hive Cluster Delta 3 with her team. This time, the Vacrine were ready. Somehow, they had learned. They had adapted. Ambush, one of Nari's operatives shouted as Vacrine warriors swarmed from hidden chambers. The fight was vicious. Nari's team was the best humanity had, but they were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. They fought back to back, weapons firing continuously. Fall back, Nari ordered. Get to the extraction point. 3 of her team did not make it. They were overwhelmed and killed. Nari escaped with the survivors, but barely. They learned from our first attack, she reported to Admiral Yuna. They are evolving their tactics. Then we evolve faster, Yuna said. What do you need? More troops, direct assault instead of stealth. Yuna nodded. You will have them. The third hive cluster became a full military operation. Admiral Yuna committed 50 ships and 5,000 Marines. Colonel Tay led the ground assault. This is not going to be subtle, Tay told his troops. We are going in hard and fast, kill everything that moves, destroy everything that does not. Questions? Private Yejun raised his hand. Sir, what if civilians are present? The Vacrine do not have civilians, Tai said. They are all warriors. They are all the enemy. Every single one. The assault began with orbital bombardment. Human ships rained fire on the hive cluster from above, while drop pods fell like shooting stars. The Vacrine met them with millions of warriors. The battle was apocalyptic. Private Yejun found himself in the middle of a Vacrine breeding chamber. Thousands of warriors poured from the walls. His squad formed a defensive circle and fired until their weapons overheated. When their rifles failed, they switched to plasma grenades. When those ran out, they fought with combat knives. Hold the line, Colonel Tay roared over the chaos. We hold or we die. They held. For 6 hours, they held against impossible odds. When relief forces finally arrived, Yejun's squad had lost half its members. But they had killed thousands of Vacrine and destroyed the breeding chamber. Lieutenant Sora provided air support from her fighter. She saw the carnage below and felt sick. How many have we lost? 1,200 casualties, the tactical officer reported. But we are winning. Winning, Sora repeated bitterly. This is what winning looks like. In orbit, Captain Day prepared for the final phase. His ship had located the hive cluster's core, a massive biostructure that served as the central nervous system for the entire swarm. Admiral, we can destroy the core, Day reported, but we need to get close. Very close. How close? Yuna asked. Point-blank range. We will take heavy damage. Do it. The Indomitable charged into the heart of the hive cluster. Vakrine bioships swarmed it from all sides, tearing at its armor, breaching its hull. Alarms blared, fires erupted on multiple decks. Crew members died at their stations, but Captain Day did not stop. He drove his ship forward like a spear into the core of the hive. Fire all weapons, he ordered. Every gun on the Indomitable fired at once. Railguns, plasma cannons, missiles, everything. The hive core exploded in a cascade of biomatter and energy. The entire swarm went dark. Without the core, the Vakrine lost all coordination. They became nothing but mindless insects, easily destroyed. Target eliminated, Captain Day reported. His ship was burning, barely functional but intact. We did it. At what cost? Admiral Yuna asked. 40% casualties aboard the Indomitable. 3 other ships destroyed. Ground forces lost 1,500 Marines. Yuna closed her eyes. Every name would be read at the memorial. Every death would be recorded. But the hive was destroyed. Billions of Vakrine were dead. Send the casualty reports to Earth, she said quietly. And find me the Vakrine homeworld. We are finishing this. Dr. Inho analyzed the data from all 3 hive clusters. I have traced their origin point, the Vakrine Prime System. That is where this species began. Can we destroy it? Yuna asked. Yes, Dr. Inho said, but it will require everything we have, every ship, every soldier, every weapon. This will be the largest military operation in human history. Then we prepare, Yuna said. The Vakrine showed no mercy to 17 worlds. We will show none to them. Counselor Thelvar watched the human fleet gather. 500 ships now, reinforced by Earth's reserves. Thousands of fighters, tens of thousands of Marines, weapons that could crack planets. They are going to commit genocide, he said to Ambassador Hana. Yes, Hana agreed. They are. Can you stop them? Would you want me to? Thelvar thought of Torvash, of the billions dead, of the mother and child in the final transmission. No, he admitted. I would not. Part 5, Judgment Day. The human fleet gathered at the edge of the Vakrine Prime System like a storm preparing to break. 500 warships, 10,000 fighters, 50,000 Marines, the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Admiral Yuna stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at the planet below. It was beautiful. Lush green continents, clear blue oceans, gentle weather patterns. A paradise world where a nightmare species had been born. All ships report ready, Captain Day announced. Good, Yuna said. She opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Yuna. Today we end the Vakrine threat permanently. They have consumed 17 worlds and killed hundreds of billions. They showed no mercy. They gave no quarter. They did not negotiate or retreat. They simply consumed. Today, we show them what it means to face a species that fights back. All ships, advance. The fleet moved forward as one. The Vakrine response was immediate. Their homeworld was protected by millions of bioships, orbital defense platforms made of living tissue, and swarm warriors beyond counting. They threw everything at the human fleet. The battle began. Lieutenant Sora led her fighter squadrons into the teeth of the Vakrine defense. Bioships swarmed around her like angry insects. Her fighters' warning systems screamed constantly. All wings, formation delta, she ordered. Use the asteroid belt for cover. Her fighters dove into the debris field surrounding the Vakrine homeworld. The enemy followed. Sora waited until they were deep in the asteroids, then gave the order. Detonate. Human engineers had spent weeks placing charges throughout the asteroid belt. Now they exploded in a chain reaction that shattered millions of tons of rock. The debris tore through the Vakrine bioships like bullets. First wave eliminated, Sora reported, proceeding to second objective. But the Vakrine had reserves. More bioships poured from the planet's surface, hundreds of thousands of them. Sora's squadron fought desperately. One by one, her pilots died. Their final transmissions were always the same. For humanity, for the Concord, for those who cannot fight. When Sora's fighter was finally hit, she did not eject. Instead, she pointed her damaged craft at a Vacrine command ship and accelerated. "This is Lieutenant Sora," she transmitted. "It has been an honor." Her fighter crashed into the command ship at full speed. Both exploded in a ball of fire. Admiral Yuna heard the transmission. She allowed herself 3 seconds of grief. Then she continued the battle. "All ships target the orbital platforms," she ordered. "Destroy them." The human fleet concentrated fire on the living defense platforms. Railguns tore through organic armor. Plasma weapons burned biological tissue. Nuclear weapons vaporized entire sections. But the cost was terrible. The Vacrine fought with the desperation of a species facing extinction. They rammed their bioships into human vessels. They boarded and tried to consume the crews. They adapted their tactics with frightening speed. Captain Day's ship took a direct hit. Half the bridge crew died instantly. Day himself was wounded, but he refused medical attention. "Keep firing," he ordered through bloody teeth. "We do not stop until they are gone." On the planet's surface, Colonel Tay led the marine landing. Drop pods fell through a sky filled with fire and death. Half never made it to the ground. Tay's pod crashed into a Vacrine city. He emerged to find a landscape that should not exist. Beautiful gardens, crystalline structures, peaceful plazas. The Vacrine had built paradise for themselves. "Burn it all," Tay ordered. The Marines spread out with flame units and plasma charges. They destroyed everything. Every building, every structure, every trace of Vacrine civilization. Private Yejun found himself in a Vacrine spawning ground. Billions of larvae filled massive chambers. They were helpless, barely developed, unable to fight back. He raised his weapon. His hands shook. "I know what you're thinking," Colonel Tay said, appearing beside him. "You're thinking about the morality of this. About whether we are the monsters now." "Yes, sir," Yejun whispered. "Good," Tay said. "That means you are still human. But you are going to do it anyway because those larvae will grow into creatures that consume worlds. You are going to do it because mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. You are going to do it because this is war. And in war, the hardest choices are often the necessary ones." Yejun fired. The spawning chambers burned. In orbit, Dr. Inho prepared the final weapon. The pathogen he had developed was now refined to its deadliest form. It would spread through the Vacrine hive mind like wildfire, killing everything connected to it. "Deploying bioweapon," he reported. Scientist Suho helped launch the delivery system. "May whatever gods exist forgive us for this." "They will not," Dr. Inho said quietly. "But perhaps the people we saved will." The pathogen spread across the Vacrine homeworld. Within hours, the swarm began to die. The hive mind fractured. Individual Vacrine lost all coordination and became nothing but dying animals. But before the end, the Vacrine overmind, the ancient consciousness that had guided the species for millennia, made contact with Admiral Yuna. It spoke directly into her mind. "Please," the overmind begged, "we surrender. We will retreat. We will leave this galaxy. Spare us." Yuna's response was cold. "You showed no mercy to Torvash. You gave no quarter to the 17 worlds you consumed. You did not accept surrender. You only knew consumption. Now you face a species that knows judgment." "We are a species," the overmind cried. "You are committing genocide." "Yes," Yuna agreed. "We are. You started this war by consuming billions. We are ending it by ending you. That is justice." "This is murder." "This is survival," Yuna said. "The universe is cruel. Species that cannot adapt, that cannot defend themselves, that become threats to others. They do not deserve to continue. You are evolution's mistake. We are evolution's answer." "You are monsters," the overmind whispered as it died. "Yes," Yuna said. "We are Deathworlders. This is what we do." Captain Day initiated the final phase. Orbital bombardment. Every ship in the fleet opened fire on the Vacrine homeworld. The planet burned. Commander Nari led teams across the system, hunting down the last Vacrine ships trying to escape. Not one survived. Within 12 hours, the Vacrine species ceased to exist. The human fleet regrouped above the burning world. They had lost 40% of their ships. 20,000 soldiers were dead. Lieutenant Sora was gone. Thousands of others would never return home, but the Vacrine were extinct. Admiral Yuna addressed the fleet one final time. Today, we did something terrible. We committed genocide. We destroyed an entire species. History will judge us for this. Some will call us heroes. Others will call us monsters. Both will be right. But remember this. We did not start this war. The Vacrine consumed 17 worlds before we acted. Every death today prevents billions of deaths tomorrow. That is the burden we carry as Deathworlders. We do what others cannot. We make the hard choices. We pay the price for peace. On Valisra, Counselor Thelvar watched the broadcast. The Galactic Concord had been saved, but at a cost he could barely comprehend. Ambassador Hana stood beside him. "You are wondering if you did the right thing," she said. "Always," Thelvar admitted. "So are we," Hana said. "Every human involved in this war will carry it with them forever. Admiral Yuna will remember every ship lost. Colonel Tay will dream of the spawning chambers. Private Yejun will question his choices every day. That is what makes us human. We do terrible things and then we live with them." "How?" Thelvar asked. "By remembering why we did them," Hana said. "By honoring the dead. By building a better future so their sacrifice means something." The Concord Council met to discuss the aftermath. They voted to grant Earth full membership. They integrated human military doctrine into their defense forces. They opened their borders. They also established the Memorial of 17 Worlds, a monument to every person killed by the Vacrine. And beside it, they built the Memorial of the Fallen Defenders, honoring every human who died protecting the Concord. Admiral Yuna became Supreme Commander of all Concord military forces. She accepted on one condition, that the Concord never forget the cost of being unprepared for war. Colonel Tay retired from active service. He opened a school to train conquered species in combat tactics. His first lesson was always the same. War is not glorious. It is necessary. Learn the difference. Dr. Inho and scientist Suho continued their research but now focused on medical applications instead of weapons. They could not undo what they had created, but they could try to balance it. Commander Nari disappeared into classified operations. Some said she still hunted threats in the dark corners of the galaxy. Engineer Minji led the reconstruction of the 17 consumed worlds. It would take decades, but she was determined that life would return to those dead planets. Private Yejun stayed in the service. He could not return to civilian life, not after what he had done. Instead, he trained new recruits and made sure they understood the weight of the weapons they carried. Captain Day recovered from his wounds and returned to command. The Indomitable was rebuilt and resumed patrol duties. Ambassador Jiwon became Earth's chief diplomat to the Conquered. She worked tirelessly to bridge the cultural gap between humanity and the peaceful species they had saved. 1 year after the war ended, a Concord child approached Private Yejun at the memorial. The child was from Planara, one of the billions saved by human intervention. "Are you a hero?" the child asked. Yejun looked at the names carved into the memorial, thousands of them, including Lieutenant Sora, whose sacrifice had saved hundreds. "No," he said honestly. "I am just a soldier who did what was necessary. My teacher says you saved us. Many people saved you. Some of them did not survive." "Then what should I do?" the child asked. Yejun thought carefully before answering. "Live, build, create. Make sure their sacrifice meant something. And if the darkness comes again, be ready to fight it. That is how you honor the dead." The child nodded solemnly and placed a flower at the memorial. Yejun watched the child leave. Around him, the rebuilt Concord thrived. Trade flourished. art and science advanced. Peaceful species lived without fear. And orbiting above, human warships stood eternal vigil. Counselor Thelvar found Yejun at the memorial later that day. "Do you regret it?" Thelvar asked. "Any of it?" Yejun considered the question. "Every day, but I would do it again." "That is what frightens me about humans," Thelvar said. "You carry such guilt, yet you do not hesitate when action is needed." "That is what makes us Deathworlders," Yejun said. "We do what must be done, and then we live with it. We are not monsters who feel nothing. We are people who feel everything and act anyway." "The galaxy will never be the same," Thelvar said. The stars looked the same as they always did through the viewing window of the eternal horizon. Captain Minho stood with his hands behind his back, watching the distant lights. His ship had been traveling through empty space for 3 weeks now, collecting data about this sector of the galaxy. It was quiet work, boring even. That was about to change. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Yuna said from her station. She was young, only 24, and this was her first deep space mission. Her fingers moved quickly across her controls. "It's a distress signal. Very weak." Minho walked over to her station. "Where is it coming from?" "About 2 light years from here. The signal is breaking up badly." Yuna adjusted her equipment, trying to clear the message. "Sir, I think it's from a Velrothi ship." That got everyone's attention. The Velrothi were known across the galaxy as peaceful people. They made beautiful art and spent their time thinking about philosophy. They had no weapons, no military. They trusted the Galactic Council to protect them. "Put it through," Minho said. The bridge fell silent as the message played. It was hard to understand at first. Lots of static and broken words. Then a voice came through clearly for just a moment. "Under attack. Kryn swarm. They're killing everyone. Council ships turned away. Please, anyone. 3,000 souls. Children." The message cut out. Yuna tried to bring it back, but there was only silence. "Did they say the council turned away?" Jinwoo asked. He was the weapons officer, a former soldier who had seen too much fighting before joining the Horizon. His face was hard. "They abandoned them." Dr. Hana was already at her station, pulling up information. She was the ship's expert on alien species. The Velrothi colony ship Dawn of Peace left their homeworld 6 months ago. They were moving to a new settlement. According to this, there are 3,042 Velrothi on board. Most of them are families. "And the Kryn?" Minho asked, though he already knew the answer. "Monsters," Jinwoo said flatly. "They attack weak species and harvest them. They take everything useful and leave nothing behind." Hana's face was pale. "If the Kryn have them, those Velrothi have maybe 6 hours, probably less." Minho looked at the star charts. 2 light years. They could make it in 4 hours if they pushed the engines hard. But there was a problem. A big one. "How many Kryn ships?" he asked. Hana checked the sensor data that came with the distress call. 12 hunter vessels. Each one carries about 200 Kryn warriors. The bridge was quiet. Everyone was doing the math. The Eternal Horizon was a research ship. It had weapons, but nothing like a military vessel. They had a crew of 120. Going up against 12 Kryn ships was suicide. "Sir, I'm detecting council signatures in the area," Yuna said quietly. 3 defense fleets. They were close enough to respond. "But they didn't," Jinwoo said. His jaw was tight. Minho turned to face his crew. This was the moment. He could keep the ship safe, continue their mission, and let the Velrothi die. It would be the smart choice, the safe choice. No one would blame him. But that wasn't who humans were. Not anymore. "Everyone to your stations," Minho said calmly. "Jinwoo, I want every weapon we have ready to fire. Taiyang, plot a course to the Velrothi ship, maximum speed. Woojin, get your marines ready for boarding actions." "Sir?" Woojin asked. He was the commander of their small marine unit. "We're really doing this." "We're really doing this," Minho confirmed. "Dr. Hana, prepare the medical bay for mass casualties. We're going to have a lot of scared Velrothi on board soon." Hana smiled. It was a sad smile, but there was pride in it too. Understood, Captain. The ship came alive with activity. Engines that had been running at quarter power now roared to full strength. The Eternal Horizon could move fast when it needed to. Faster than most alien ships because it was built by humans. Humans who came from a world with heavy gravity, who were used to forces that would crush other species. As they accelerated, Jinwoo came to stand beside Minho. "You know we might not make it back from this," he said quietly. "I know. The Council will be angry. We're supposed to ask permission before any military action." "Then they should have saved those people themselves," Minho replied. Jinwoo smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." The hours passed quickly. Too quickly. Hana confirmed that the Velrothi distress signal was getting weaker. Their shields were failing. The Kryn were taking their time, playing with their victims before the final strike. 2 minutes to drop out of faster than light, Taiyang called out. He was their best pilot. He would need to be. Minho sat in his command chair. His heart was beating fast, but his voice was steady. "All hands, this is the captain. In a moment, we're going to drop into a combat zone. We are outnumbered 12 to 1. The enemy is brutal and experienced. We are a research ship with a small crew." He paused, looking around the bridge. Everyone was at their station, ready. "But we are human," Minho continued. "We come from Earth, a world that tried to kill us every single day. A world with gravity that crushes, weather that destroys, and predators everywhere. We survived because we never gave up. We thrived because we protected each other. Those Velrothi down there are scared and alone. The galaxy abandoned them. We will not." 30 seconds, Taiyang said. "The Kryn think they're hunters," Minho said. "Let's show them what real predators look like. Battle stations." The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The scene in front of them was terrible. The Velrothi colony ship was huge but helpless. Its shields flickered with rainbow colors, nearly dead. Around it, like sharks circling prey, were 12 Kryn vessels. Dark, ugly ships covered in weapons and armor made from the bones of their victims. One of the Kryn ships broke off and turned toward the horizon, then another. They had noticed the newcomers. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Kryn," Yuna said. "Put it through." A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge. The translation software struggled with the Kryn language. "Small ship, go away. This is our hunt. Leave or join the meet." Jinwoo looked at Minho. "Orders, sir." The first Kryn ship exploded in a ball of fire. The bridge crew of the Eternal Horizon watched it happen on their screens. For a moment, there was silence. Then chaos. "They're breaking formation," Jinwoo reported. His hands moved fast across his weapons controls. "All ships turning toward us." "Good," Minho said. "That's 11 ships not shooting at the Velrothi. Taiyang, evasive pattern delta. Keep us moving." The pilot's hands flew across his controls. The ship twisted and turned in ways that would have killed most alien species. The gravity inside the ship changed rapidly. Up became down became sideways. But humans were built for this. Earth's gravity was so much heavier than standard. This felt almost natural. Weapons fire lit up the space around them. Bright green energy blasts from Kryn weapons cut through the darkness. Most missed. Taiyang was too good, the ship too fast. "Return fire," Minho ordered. "Target their engines." The Horizon fired back. Human weapons were different from what most of the galaxy used. Other species had elegant energy weapons that were efficient and clean. Human weapons were brutal. Missiles that exploded with massive force. Railguns that fired solid metal at incredible speeds. Weapons designed to destroy, not just disable. 2 more Kryn ships took damage. One lost its engines and started drifting. The other's shields collapsed. "Sir, the Kryn are spreading out," Yuna reported. "They're trying to surround us." "Let them," Minho said. "Wujin, are your Marines ready?" "Ready and waiting, Captain," came the reply from the Marine commander. Wujin and his team of 40 Marines were suited up in the cargo bay. Their armor was thick and heavy. Too heavy for most alien species to even wear. But humans were strong. Taiyang, bring us close to that damaged ship, the one with no shields. Sir, that's insane, Jinwoo said. We'll be in range of 5 other Kryn vessels. I know, Minho replied calmly. Do it. The Eternal Horizon dove toward the damaged Kryn ship. Enemy fire hit their shields. Alarms went off across the bridge. But Taeyang kept the ship steady, flying like he was born in space. We're alongside, he called out. Wu Jin, you're up, Minho said. In the cargo bay, Wu Jin and his Marines launched themselves into space. They used small jetpacks to cross the gap between ships. Kryn weapons fire filled the space around them, but the Marines moved fast. They had trained for this. Every human child learned about space combat in school now. It was part of their culture. The Marines hit the Kryn hull and attached magnetic clamps. They pulled out cutting tools and began burning through the armor. The Kryn ship tried to shake them off, but it was damaged and slow. We're in, Wu Jin reported. His voice was calm despite being in the middle of a combat zone. Beginning interior assault. Inside the Kryn ship, things got violent fast. The Kryn were big creatures, almost 3 meters tall with 4 arms and natural armor. They were used to weaker species running from them in fear. Humans didn't run. The Marines moved through the ship in teams. Their weapons fired solid bullets, not energy. Loud, brutal, effective. The Kryn tried to fight back, but they were confused. These small creatures were supposed to be easy prey. Instead, they fought like demons. Wu Jin led his team to the ship's bridge. The Kryn captain was there, a massive creature covered in scars. It roared and charged at him. Wu Jin didn't flinch. He stepped aside at the last second and fired 3 times. The Kryn captain fell. Ship captured, Wu Jin reported. We have access to their systems. Can you pilot it? Minho asked. Give me 2 minutes. On the Horizon's bridge, the situation was getting worse. 7 Kryn ships were now focused entirely on them. The shields were down to 30%. Sir, we can't take much more of this, Jinwoo said. Then something amazing happened. The captured Kryn ship suddenly fired on its own fleet. The shot took one of the Kryn vessels by complete surprise, hitting it directly in the engines. This is Wu Jin. We've got control. What do you want us to shoot? Minho almost laughed. Everything. Hana? Status on the Velrothi? Dr. Hana had been monitoring the colony ship. Their shields are at 5%. They have maybe 10 minutes before the Kryn breakthrough. Then we need to move faster. All ships, aggressive formation. We're going in. What happened next would later be studied by military academies across the galaxy. The Eternal Horizon, damaged but still fighting, charged directly at the Kryn fleet. It didn't try to be careful or preserve itself. It fought like Earth itself had taught its children to fight. Desperately, viciously, and without fear. Taeyong flew the ship through patterns that broke every rule of space combat. He flew between Kryn vessels, using them as shields against each other. He used the gravity of nearby asteroids to slingshot around, gaining speed and changing direction impossibly fast. Jinwoo fired everything they had. When missiles ran out, he used railguns. When those overheated, he used energy weapons. When the Kryn got close, he even used the ship's point defense systems, tiny guns meant for shooting down incoming fire. The captured Kryn ship, now controlled by Wu Jin's Marines, fought alongside them. It was a strange sight. A Kryn vessel defending a human ship, protecting a Velrothi colony. One by one, the Kryn ships fell. Some exploded. Some lost power and drifted. Some tried to run, but human weapons were faster. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only 30 minutes, there was space to breathe. 8 Kryn ships were destroyed. 4 were crippled and drifting. The Horizon was badly damaged but still alive. Open a channel to the Velrothi, Minho said. His uniform was soaked with sweat. The bridge smelled of burnt electronics and fear. But they had won. Yuna established the connection. A Velrothi face appeared on screen. It was thin and delicate, with large eyes that showed every emotion. Right now, those eyes were filled with tears. You came, the Velrothi said. Their voice was soft and musical. The council said no one would come. They said we were too far away, too expensive to save. We're not the council, Minho said. Prepare to evacuate your people to our ship. All of them. But you're damaged. You can't possibly have room for 3,000. We'll make room, Hana interrupted. She was already organizing the medical bay and cargo areas. We're human. We're good at making impossible things work. The evacuation began immediately. The Velrothi moved their people across in transport pods. Humans worked frantically to prepare space. They cleared cargo bays, set up temporary shelters, and prepared medical stations. Dr. Hana worked without stopping. Many Velrothi were injured. Some were dying. Human medicine was rough compared to council standards. Humans used invasive procedures, strong drugs, and direct intervention. Other species thought it was barbaric. But it worked. Hana saved lives that council doctors would have given up on. She worked with determination and focus, qualities learned from living on a world that punished weakness. As the last Velrothi boarded, sensors detected movement. The 4 crippled Kryn ships were trying to repair themselves. They would be dangerous again soon. Sir, what do we do about them? Jinwoo asked. Minho thought about mercy, about letting defeated enemies retreat. Then he thought about the Velrothi children who had been terrified, about the council ships that had abandoned innocent people, about what the Kryn would do to the next helpless species they found. Destroy them, he said quietly. All of them, no survivors. Jinwoo nodded and targeted the crippled ships. The Horizon's remaining weapons fired. One by one, the Kryn ships exploded. In the cargo bay, now filled with Velrothi refugees, word spread about what the humans had done. These strange creatures from the Deathworld had risked everything to save them, had fought an impossible battle and won, had shown both mercy and fury. One young Velrothi approached Woojin as he removed his armor. The Marine was covered in Kryn blood and looked terrifying. Why? The young Velrothi asked. Why did you come for us? Woojin looked down at the small alien. Then he smiled, and his face transformed from scary to kind. Because you needed help, he said simply, and we were close enough to answer. That simple answer would echo across the galaxy in the days to come. The Galactic Council building was the largest structure on planet Centrum. It stood 3 kilometers high, made of materials from 1,000 different worlds. Representatives from every species in the galaxy gathered here to make decisions that affected trillions of lives. Today, the main chamber was packed. Everyone wanted to see what would happen to the humans. Captain Minho walked through the massive doors. Behind him came Dr. Hana and Lieutenant Jinwoo. They were still in their uniforms, still showing the damage from the battle. Minho's jacket had burn marks. Hana's sleeve was torn and stained with purple Velrothi blood from her medical work. They looked tired. They looked rough. They looked dangerous. The chamber fell silent as they entered. Hundreds of alien eyes watched them. Some showed respect. Others showed fear. A few showed anger. At the center of the chamber stood Counselor Nari, the human representative. She was older than Minho with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had fought for 15 years to give humanity a voice in galactic politics. Now she looked worried, but she also looked proud. The Council recognizes Captain Minho of the human vessel Eternal Horizon, announced High Counselor Vrex. He was a Thaltaran, tall and thin with skin that changed colors based on his mood. Right now, it was dark blue. Disapproval. Minho stepped forward. He didn't bow. Humans didn't bow to anyone anymore. Captain Minho, Vrex continued, his voice echoing through the chamber. You are here to answer for unauthorized military action in Council space. You engaged and destroyed Kryn vessels without permission. You interfered in a conflict that was not your concern. How do you answer these charges? Before Minho could speak, another voice interrupted. Permission to address the Council. Everyone turned. A Velrothi stepped forward. It was Doyen, the speaker for the rescued refugees. He was thin and weak compared to most species. But he walked with dignity. The Council did not give you permission to speak, Vrex said. Then I will speak anyway, Doyen replied. His voice was soft, but it carried through the chamber. You want to charge these humans with saving our lives? Then charge me too. Charge all 3,000 of us. Because we are grateful they broke your rules. Murmurs spread through the chamber. This was unusual. The Velrothi were always polite, always followed protocol. The council had its reasons for not responding to your distress call, Vrek said. His skin shifted to red now. Anger. The cost was too high. The distance too far. It was an unfortunate situation, but... Unfortunate? Doyen's voice rose. You call the planned murder of 3,000 people unfortunate? That is not what happened, another counselor spoke up. She was a Brint, a species known for cold logic. We calculated the resources required for rescue. 3 defense fleets would have been needed. The fuel costs alone would have... Would have what? Hana stepped forward now. Would have cost too much money? Credits? You put a price on children's lives and decided they weren't worth it? You are a scientist, Dr. Hana, the Brint counselor said. Surely you understand resource allocation. We cannot save everyone. Difficult choices must be made. You're right, Hana replied. I am a scientist, so let me share some data with you. She activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the center of the chamber. Medical scans, casualty reports, timelines. When we arrived, 47 Velrothi were already dead, Hana said. Her voice was professional, clinical, but there was fire underneath. If we had arrived 1 hour later, that number would have been 300. If the council fleets had responded when the first distress call went out, the number would have been 0. The images changed. Now they showed the battle itself. The horizon fighting against impossible odds. We had 1 ship against 12, Hana continued. We had 120 crew against thousands of Kryn warriors. By your calculations, we should have died. We should have failed. But you didn't, Vrek said. Because you are from a death world. You are naturally more violent, more aggressive than civilized species. Is that what you think? Minho spoke now. His voice was quiet, but everyone listened. You think we saved them because we're violent. He walked to the center of the chamber. Let me tell you about Earth. Yes, it's classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest danger rating in your system. We have gravity that would crush most of you. Weather that kills. Predators that hunt us. Diseases that evolve faster than anywhere else in known space. Minho looked around at all the different species. Earth tried to kill us every single day. And you know what we learned? We learned that life is precious. Every single life. Because we fought so hard for our own. Noble words, Vrek said. But you still violated council law. You engaged in combat without authorization. We saved lives without permission, Jinwoo corrected. There's a difference. And what of the Kryn ships you destroyed? Another counselor demanded. The survivors you executed? That was not rescue. That was revenge. The chamber grew tense. This was the real issue. Humans had shown they could fight. That scared people. Minho didn't deny it. The crippled Kryn ships were repairing themselves. If we left them, they would have hunted again. Killed again. We made a choice to protect future victims. You made a choice to commit massacre, Vrek said. The Kryn have rights under council law. You denied them quarter, denied them mercy. They denied mercy to hundreds of species before the Velrothi, Minho shot back. How many colonies have they destroyed while the council did nothing? How many species have gone extinct because the cost of saving them was too high? You cannot possibly understand the complexity of... I understand perfectly, Counselor Nari interrupted. She had been quiet until now, but she couldn't stay silent anymore. The council is afraid, not of the Kryn. Of us? The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens arguing with each other, some defending the council, others questioning. Nari's voice cut through the chaos. You're afraid because we're different. We don't calculate the value of lives in credits. We don't abandon people because saving them is expensive. We risk ourselves for strangers because that's who we are. That is exactly why you're dangerous, Vrek said. Your recklessness could start wars. Your actions could destabilize the entire galactic order. Then maybe your order needs to be destabilized, Nari replied. The chamber went silent. No one had ever spoken to the High Counselor like that. Nari walked to stand beside Minho and his crew. For 15 years, I've tried to make humanity fit into your system. I've followed your rules, respected your traditions, and begged for your approval. No more. She turned to face the entire council. Effective immediately, humanity is establishing the Deathworld Protection Pact. Any species, any colony, any people in danger can call on Earth, and we will answer. We will not ask for council permission. We will not calculate costs. We will not abandon the innocent. The chamber exploded in outrage, councilors shouting, demanding order, threatening sanctions. But Nari wasn't finished. You want to punish Captain Minho? Fine. But know this. If you take action against him, against any human who chooses to save lives, you will answer to Earth, all of Earth. Are you threatening this council? Vrex demanded. I'm making a promise, Nari replied. We came to the stars hoping to find civilizations more advanced than us, more moral, more just. Instead, we found bureaucrats who let children die because the paperwork was inconvenient. She looked at Doyen, at the other Velrothi in the chamber. We found people who needed help, and we found that we were the only ones willing to give it. Minho stepped forward. The Eternal Horizon is ready to face any consequences for our actions, but we would do it again, every single time. Jinwoo and Hana nodded. They stood together, 3 humans against an entire galaxy. Doyen walked over and stood beside them. Then other Velrothi joined him, then representatives from other species that the council had failed over the years. Species that had been told their problems weren't important enough, that the costs were too high. Within minutes, nearly a third of the chamber was standing with the humans. Vrex looked at the divided council. His skin color shifted rapidly, showing confusion and fear. The galaxy he knew was changing. The rules he relied on were breaking. This council is adjourned, he finally said. We will reconvene to discuss these developments. As everyone filed out, Minho felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Counselor Nari. You know they're going to try to stop us, she said quietly. The council won't let this challenge go unanswered. I know, Minho replied. But we're human. When did we ever back down from a challenge? Nari smiled. It was a tired smile, but hopeful. Never. Not once. Outside the council building, news was spreading across the galaxy. Humanity had thrown down a challenge to the established order. They had promised protection to anyone who asked. The message came 3 days after the council hearing. It was broadcast on every frequency, sent to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The Kryn wanted everyone to hear it. We are the swarm, the message said. The voice clicked and hissed, translated by computers into words other species could understand. For 1,000 years we have hunted, we have fed, we have taken what we wanted. No species has stopped us. On Earth, in the military command center, Admiral Suji listened to the message with a grim expression. She was humanity's highest-ranking military officer, responsible for protecting the home system. The humans broke our fleet, the Kryn continued, killed our warriors. This insult will be answered with blood. We declare a blood hunt against Earth, against all humans, against all who shelter them. We will make their world ash. We will make them regret the day they left their planet. The message ended. The command center was silent. Well, Suji said calmly, that's clear enough. General Hyun, what's our defensive status? General Hyun pulled up tactical displays. We have 90 ships in the home fleet, another 30 scattered across our colonies. Against the full Kryn swarm, he paused. Intelligence estimates they can field over 500 vessels. Then we need allies, Suji said, and we need them fast. Across the galaxy, responses to the human declaration came in. The Velrothi were first. Doyen himself sent the message. Earth saved our lives when no one else would. We are not warriors. We have no weapons. But we have factories. We have resources. Everything we have is yours. Next came the Rogesh. They were a warrior species that the Council had suppressed years ago for being too aggressive. Their message was short. We fight. Dr. Hana was sent as Earth's diplomat to gather more allies. She traveled from world to world, meeting with species that had been ignored or pushed aside by the Council. Many were afraid. The Kryn were terrifying, but many were also angry. On the world of Linar, she met with their chief engineer. The Linari were small and weak physically, but they were the best builders in the galaxy. The Council forbids us from sharing our advanced technology, the engineer said. Her name was Kiva, and she was old by Linari standards. They say we must maintain the balance. And if the Kryn win? Hana asked. Will balance matter when they're harvesting your people? Kiva was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. The Council has many rules. Perhaps it is time to break some of them. We will upgrade your ships, Dr. Hana. We will give you weapons the galaxy has never seen. On Earth, preparations were happening at incredible speed. The shipyards worked day and night. Factories that had been making civilian goods switched to producing weapons and armor. Captain Minho was given a new ship. The Eternal Horizon had been too damaged to repair. His new vessel was called the Defiant. It was bigger, faster, and designed specifically for war. Lieutenant Jinwoo was promoted and given command of a special unit. They called it Reaper Squadron. 20 ships, each one filled with the best fighters humanity had. Their job was to hit the Kryn hard and fast, then disappear before they could respond. Wu Jin trained new Marines. But these weren't just human Marines. The Ragesh sent warriors to learn human tactics. Other species sent volunteers too. Wu Jin taught them how to fight like Deathworlders. Aggressive, relentless, willing to take risks that seemed insane. The first Kryn attack came 2 weeks after their declaration. They hit the human colony on Tanis IV with biological weapons, diseases designed to kill quickly. But humans were from Earth. Their immune systems were incredibly strong. The diseases killed some, but not nearly as many as the Kryn expected. Human doctors, trained by Dr. Hana's protocols, worked frantically and saved most of the colonists. The Kryn were shocked. Their biological weapons had destroyed other species completely. Humans just got sick and then got better. The second attack was more direct. Kryn ships appeared at the Velrothi homeworld. 20 vessels, all heavily armed. They demanded the Velrothi stop helping humans or face destruction. The Velrothi were terrified. They had no military, no way to defend themselves. But they weren't alone. Jinwoo's Reaper Squadron dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in the middle of the Kryn fleet. 20 human ships against 20 Kryn ships. A fair fight. Except it wasn't fair. The human ships were equipped with Linari weapons, Ragesh armor, and human tactics. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, 15 Kryn ships were destroyed. 5 ran away. Reaper Squadron didn't lose a single vessel. The galaxy watched in amazement. Humans had just defeated a major Kryn fleet. These newcomers from Earth were actually winning. More species joined the Deathworld Protection Pact. Some brought resources. Others brought technology. A few, like the Rogish, brought warriors eager to fight. But the Kryn weren't done, not even close. Intelligence reports started coming in. The Kryn were gathering their full military force. Every ship they had, every warrior. They were preparing for one massive attack. Their target was obvious. Earth itself. Admiral Suji studied the reports in her office. The numbers were terrible. Even with allies, even with new technology, humanity was outnumbered 5-1. General Hyun entered her office. The evacuation plans are ready. We can move most of Earth's population to the colonies if... No, Suji interrupted. No evacuations. Admiral, if Earth falls... Earth won't fall, Suji said firmly. And even if it does, running won't help. The Kryn will just hunt us down wherever we go. We make our stand here. She pulled up a star map of the Sol system. Our ancestors evolved on this world. They survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and each other. We didn't become humanity by running away. We do it by standing our ground. Hyun looked at the map. You have a plan. I have several, Suji replied. Most of them are crazy, but crazy seems to work for us. On the Defiant, Minho was coordinating the defense fleet. Ships from a dozen different species were arriving at Earth. They formed a strange collection. human vessels built for aggression, Velrothi ships carrying supplies, roguish warships bristling with weapons, Lenari engineering vessels ready to make repairs. And at the center, Earth itself, beautiful and blue and deadly. Una, now a senior officer, was monitoring long-range sensors. Sir, we're detecting Kryn ships gathering in the Rigel sector, at least 500 vessels. When will they arrive? Minho asked. 3 weeks, maybe less. 3 weeks to prepare for the biggest battle in human history. 3 weeks to get ready for an enemy that had destroyed hundreds of civilizations. Minho looked at Earth on his view screen. Somewhere down there was his family, his home, everything he was fighting for. Send a message to all Allied ships, he ordered. Tell them we're grateful for their help. Tell them they can still leave if they want to. No one will think less of them. Una sent the message. They waited for responses. Not a single ship left. Every species that had joined the pact stayed. They would fight alongside humanity. In the command center, Admiral Suji gathered her top officers. Minho joined by video link from the Defiant. Jinwoo was there with Reaper Squadron. Woojin represented the Marine forces. General Hyun commanded the ground defenses. The Kryn are coming, Suji said. They're bringing everything they have. They want to make an example of us. Show the galaxy what happens when you challenge the swarm. She looked at each officer. So let's show them something instead. Let's show them what happens when you threaten a death world. When you attack a species that spent millions of years learning how to survive. When you make enemies with humans. Suji activated the defense plans. They were complex and brutal and beautiful. We're not going to fight them in space, she explained. Well, we will, but that's not where we'll win. We're going to let them come to us. Let them enter the Sol system. Let them think they're winning. And then? Minho asked. Suji smiled. It was the smile of a predator. Then we spring the trap. We show them that Earth isn't just our home. It's our fortress, our weapon, our revenge. The officers looked at the plans. They were insane. They violated every rule of space combat. They required perfect timing and incredible risk. They were perfect. How long do we have? Woojin asked. 18 days, Suji replied. The Kryn will be here in 18 days, and when they arrive, they'll learn something very important. The Kryn arrived on schedule. 512 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. They came with confidence. They had destroyed civilizations older and stronger than humanity. This would be easy. On Earth, alarms sounded. Not panic alarms, just notifications. Everyone knew this day was coming. People went to shelters calmly. They had practiced this. Admiral Suji watched the enemy fleet from her command ship, the Indomitable. Around her, 90 human ships waited. Another 120 ships from allied species held position nearby. 210 ships against 512. They're sending a message, Una reported from the communications station. Put it through, Suji ordered. The Kryn Overmind appeared on screen. It was huge, a creature that had lived for centuries, commanding the swarm across countless battles. Its voice clicked and hissed. Humans, your challenge to the natural order ends today. Surrender your world. Give us your people for harvest. We will make your deaths quick. Resist, and we will make you suffer for generations. Suji looked at the creature without fear. You know what I think? I think you're scared. You've been bullying weaker species for so long, you forgot what real resistance looks like. The Overmind's eyes narrowed. Your ships are outnumbered. Your planet is defenseless. What makes you think you can win? Because you made a mistake, Suji replied. You came to our home. And humans fight hardest when protecting what we love. She cut the transmission. All ships, defensive positions. Let them come to us. The Kryn fleet began moving forward. They spread out, creating a formation designed to surround the human forces. It was a classic tactic. It had worked hundreds of times before. The human and allied ships pulled back slowly, retreating toward Earth. To the Kryn, it looked like fear, like prey running from the hunter. They were wrong. First wave entering the asteroid field, reported a tactical officer. Suji watched her screens. Activate the surprises. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden weapons came online. Asteroids that seemed natural suddenly revealed themselves as military stations. Massive railguns emerged from disguised surfaces. Missile batteries that had been silent for weeks suddenly lit up. The Kryn first wave was hit from every direction. Explosions tore through their formation. Ships that had been advancing confidently suddenly found themselves under heavy fire from positions they didn't know existed. 50 Kryn ships were destroyed in the first 30 seconds. Second wave is advancing, the tactical officer called out. They're not slowing down. Good, Suji said. They're angry now. Angry makes you sloppy. All ships, pattern Sigma. The human fleet split into small groups. Instead of staying together, they scattered. It looked like panic. Like a broken formation. It was exactly what they wanted the Kryn to think. The Kryn ships accelerated, pursuing the human vessels. They thought they were winning. They thought the humans were running. Captain Minho commanded one of these groups. 10 ships including the Defiant, pulling 100 Kryn vessels away from the main battle. They're following, his tactical officer reported. Let them get closer, Minho said calmly. Wait for it. The Kryn ships were almost in weapons range. Their targeting systems were locking on. Now, Minho ordered. The 10 human ships suddenly reversed direction. Not turned, reversed. They killed their forward momentum instantly and began flying backward while facing the Kryn. It was a maneuver that would crush most alien species with the G-forces involved. Humans just gritted their teeth and fired. The Kryn hadn't expected this. They were moving forward at high speed, suddenly facing an enemy that was shooting directly at them while moving backward. 20 Kryn ships were destroyed before they could react. This same scenario played out across the solar system. Small human groups luring in larger Kryn forces, then using tactics that seemed impossible. Ships that could accelerate and decelerate faster than physics should allow. Pilots who could handle G-forces that would kill other species. Weapons that fired in patterns no one had ever seen. Lieutenant Jinwoo's Reaper Squadron was doing the most damage. His 20 ships were equipped with the newest Lenari weapons and Rajesh armor. They hit the Kryn like ghosts, appearing out of nowhere, destroying targets, and vanishing before the enemy could respond. Target the command ships, Jinwoo ordered. Cut off their coordination. Reaper Squadron dove into the thickest part of the Kryn fleet. It was suicide by any normal calculation. But these weren't normal pilots. They flew between massive Kryn vessels using the enemy's own ships as cover. They fired at point-blank range, targeting weak points that they had identified from previous battles. In 15 minutes, they destroyed 9 Kryn command ships. The Kryn formation started to break down. Without coordination, the swarm became just a mob. They're pushing toward Earth, Yuna reported. 200 ships breaking through our outer defense. Let them, Suji said. It's time for Phase 2. The Kryn ships that reached Earth orbit thought they had won. The planet was right there, defenseless, waiting to be harvested. Then the moon opened fire. Humanity had spent 18 days turning their natural satellite into the largest weapons platform ever built. Thousands of guns, all firing at once. The Kryn ships were caught completely by surprise. Orbital defenses came online next. Satellites that had seemed civilian suddenly revealed themselves as military. Space stations that were supposedly abandoned lit up with weapons fire. And from Earth itself, missiles launched, thousands of them. Humanity had built weapons that could reach space. And now they were using all of them. The Kryn ships in orbit took devastating losses. They tried to return fire, but human shields were too strong. The defense platforms were too well armored. On the Indomitable, Admiral Suji watched the battle. They were winning, but the cost was high. Human ships were being destroyed. Allied vessels were dying protecting Earth. Status report, she ordered. Kryn fleet down to 320 ships. We've lost 35 vessels. Allied forces down to 70 ships. Still outnumbered, but not as badly. And the Kryn were confused now. Their perfect formation was broken. Their command structure was damaged. All ships, advance, Suji ordered. It's time to finish this. The human fleet stopped retreating. Instead, they charged. Every ship, moving forward at maximum speed directly at the Kryn. It was insane. It violated every rule of space combat. You never charged a larger force. But humans weren't like other species. The two fleets collided in the space between Earth and the Moon. It became a brutal, close-range battle. Ships firing at each other from meters away. Marines boarding enemy vessels. Explosions lighting up the darkness. Wu Jin led his Marines in one of these boarding actions. They had captured a Kryn transport and were using it to get close to the Overmind's flagship. The massive vessel was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons and armor. "This is crazy," one of his Marines said as they approached. "Probably," Wu Jin agreed. "But when has that stopped us?" They attached to the flagship's hull and began cutting their way inside. The Kryn fought back hard. The corridors became a nightmare of close combat. But humans had one advantage. They never gave up. Meter by meter, deck by deck, Wu Jin's team fought their way toward the bridge. In space, Captain Minho's ship was heavily damaged. Half his weapons were offline. His shields were failing, but he was still fighting. "Sir, we're being targeted by 3 Kryn cruisers," his tactical officer reported. "Then let's give them a target they can't miss," Minho said. "All power to engines. Ram speed." His crew looked at him like he was insane. Maybe he was. But it would work. The Defiant accelerated directly at the nearest Kryn cruiser. The enemy ship tried to dodge, but it was too slow. The human ship, built from Earth's dense metals, hit it like a bullet. Both ships exploded. But Minho and his crew had ejected in escape pods seconds before impact. They floated in space watching the battle until friendly ships picked them up. "You're completely insane, Captain," the rescue ship's commander said. Minho laughed. "I'm human. It's what we do." On the Overmind's flagship, Wu Jin finally reached the bridge. The Overmind was there, massive and ancient and furious. "You cannot win," it hissed. "We are eternal. We are the swarm. We have consumed 1,000 worlds." Wu Jin raised his weapon. "Then this will be the last one you threaten." He fired. Other Marines fired. The Overmind, for all its age and power, died like anything else when shot enough times. The effect on the Kryn fleet was immediate. Without the Overmind's control, the ships became uncoordinated. Some tried to run. Others fought randomly. The swarm broke. "All human forces pursue and destroy," Admiral Suji ordered. "Show no mercy. End this." The human and allied ships hunted down the remaining Kryn vessels. One by one, they were destroyed. Some tried to surrender, but after what the Kryn had done to countless species, mercy was not given. When the last Kryn ship exploded, silence fell across the Sol system. The battle was over. Humanity had won. The cost had been terrible. 40,000 humans dead. Dozens of ships destroyed. Earth itself was scarred from the orbital bombardment that had gotten through. But they had survived. They had defended their home. They had shown the galaxy that humans could not be bullied, could not be conquered, could not be broken. 3 days later, the Galactic Council requested an emergency session. Admiral Suji traveled to Centrum with Minho, who had survived his crash. Dr. Hana came too, and Counselor Nari. The council chamber was different this time. Instead of judgment, there was respect. Instead of fear, there was awe. High Counselor Vrek stood. His skin was pale green now. Humility. "The Council wishes to acknowledge the actions of humanity and its allies," he said formally. "You have defeated a threat that plagued the galaxy for centuries. You have proven that the weak can be protected, that courage matters more than calculation." Counselor Nari stepped forward. "The Deathworld Protection Pact stands. Any species that needs help can call on us. We will answer." "The Council understands," Vrek said, "and we wish to join you in this effort, to reform our policies, to remember that civilization is measured not by efficiency, but by compassion." Minho looked at Hana. She smiled. They had changed the galaxy, not through threats or force, but by showing there was a better way. Later, on the Defiant, now repaired and ready for its next mission, Minho stood looking at the stars. Dr. Hana joined him. Do you think we did the right thing? She asked. We saved lives, Minho replied. We protected the innocent. We stood up to bullies. Yes, we did the right thing. What happens now? Minho smiled. Now we keep doing it. The galaxy is big. There are a lot of people who need help, and we're human. We're Deathworlders. We don't know how to quit. The Defiant jumped to faster-than-light travel, heading toward the next crisis. The next species that needed protection. The next chance to show that from the harshest world came the kindest people. Behind them, Earth rotated peacefully, scarred but unbroken. Home to a species that had proven something important. That compassion was not weakness. That mercy was strength. And that sometimes, the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy were the ones who refused to let others suffer. The Deathworlders had heard the call, and they would always answer. What's that? Jinwoo asked. Admiral Suji's smile grew wider. Never threaten someone's home, especially not when that home is Earth. Above the planet, construction began. The moon was transformed into a weapons platform. Asteroids were hollowed out and filled with soldiers. Satellites became bombs. The entire system became a trap. And humanity waited, ready to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could really do. And in the dark spaces between stars, the Kryn were listening. They had been humiliated, their ships destroyed by creatures they considered weak. They would have their revenge. They would show this young species what happened to those who interfered with the Kryn swarm. They would make Earth itself burn. Captain Minho smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a human who had decided to fight. The smile of someone from a death world who had just been threatened. Target their lead ship, Minho said calmly. All weapons, fire. The Eternal Horizon opened fire, and the battle began. No, Yejun agreed, but it will survive. That is what matters. Above them, the stars shone peacefully. And somewhere in the darkness, human ships patrolled the borders, watching for the next threat. The Deathworlders had brought judgment. Now they brought protection, and the galaxy was safe.